Hi, you're joining me, Esther, from Stampin Star Creations for another Stamp Around UK video hop. This month's challenge was to use the new in colours Magenta Madness, Bumblebee, Misty Moonlight, Just Jade and Cinnamon Cider, and I'll be using the lovely You and Ornate Thanks stamp set to go with my project today. So using the matching punch, I'm just cutting out my labels before I go ahead and stamp, roughly seeing what size the stamp is, cutting out the ends first and then stamping on afterwards. So just roughly figuring out where my sentiment's going to go before I go in and stamp 3 times. So I'm just creating a batch of simple cards with simple stamping with a touch of the embellishments afterwards. So creating a border with a Magenta Madness, just using the colour on the block to create this lovely border pattern around the edge of my sentiment. Popping it on a piece of Magenta Madness cardstock and then putting the sentiment on some dimensionals to pop that up. Adding a few of those lovely colourful in colour embellishments. And there's number card number 1 done. Simple as. Okay, for my next card, same again, punching out the edges first. Now I do have to come back to the sentiment because it does end up being too big for my card. So this time I'm kind of doing a swagger kind of bow effect across the card with that leaf stamp. Just using the top pattern to figure out where the middle is and then just to stamp in between underneath and coming back to finish off the edges. I had this strip of yellow card and I thought I'd just utilise it, so I'm going to cut down my sentiment and just have that yellow border around the outside. Going ahead and sticking it together and then just mounting it up with some of that foam sheet. It's great for longer lengths, so you can get a good coverage across your card. Then I'm going to just bring in some of those bumblebee dots and put them in a sort of smiley shape face underneath the thank you. And that's my second card, another quick and simple one. Next is Just Jade, and I'm using that big thank you sentiment again. I quite like the look of the border with the colour on the outside, so I'm going to do that again with the Just Jade. This time I'm using the leaf stamp to create a spiral effect. So stamping 3 times and just using the stem of the leaf to fit inside the other and just keep going, working your way around the card. It's almost easier than doing a wreath because you're just going round and getting bigger as you go along. So just be careful as you go near the edges, as you come off the card. You want to make sure that you've got the right ink on your stamp and you don't create a stripe on your page. It has this really fun effect in the background, very simple, all very monochromatic, and I just think layering them on a matching piece of card makes the project really pop. The great thing about having the embellishment on the clear acetate is you can kind of audition and figure out where you want those dots to stick. So I decided just a simple row at the bottom to add some detail there. Next up, it's our Misty Moonlight, and I've already gone ahead and cut out the sentiment with the matching Misty Moonlight cardstock for a border, and I'm just giving myself a pencil mark, a rough line, a rough guide, so that I know where the sentiment's going to lie and where I need to roughly stamp. So I'm stamping with 2 impressions, 2nd generation stamping. It wasn't supposed to be symmetrical and I realised, I'm doing it symmetrical, my pattern, and that wasn't necessarily the plan. So I keep going and just change the stamp as I go all the way round. I realised when I put the sentiment on I'm missing a bit of border off to the left, so just finishing adding that in. Thanks to the pattern you can't really tell too much, and by the time you put the sentiment on top it's fine. I love the look of this blue. It kind of reminded me of like a Grecian kitchen, or that kind of lovely like an old-fashioned apron, I suppose. And then going ahead and sticking the sentiment down once again with those foam strips. They're so handy, you can just chop them up to whatever length that you want to have them at. And then popping that onto the Misty Moonlight cardstock. I decided just to add those embellishments just at the end to highlight the word thank you. Next up is our cinnamon cider. And I have a last minute change of heart and switch around quickly to portrait. I also decided to use the smaller sentiment. There's lots of small sentiments that go with this stamp set, so I've gone for thank you ever so much. Using just the top half of this flower, I'm creating this kind of shell petal design along the top, doing second and third generation stamping again. When you do this, you get a lovely shading and layers to your ink. So just reproducing the design on the other end, so I've got a matching design at the bottom and the top. And then completing it with some extra detail with this other little pattern that comes in the set also. Again, doing the same at the top and the bottom. I just wanted to highlight the word thank you ever so much, so I've added that leaf, and again just auditioning where I'm going to put those dots. Mount it onto the matching card. And there's our last card. Very quick, very simple. It's all about the simple stamping and just creating cards, some thank you cards with those embellishments. And using different techniques with the stamps as well. So let me know which one was your favourite. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please do follow along the hop and see what everyone else has done with this year's new in colours. If you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed today's video, and leave me a comment below. I'd like to know which one is your favourite. Take care and have a good day.